everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And today, Eric, our question comes from Hamza, and he asks, when it comes to translating costumes to the big screen, should they be faithfully accurate or tactical and realistic? And he got a bunch of thumbs ups, and it seemed like people kind of wanted us to talk about this topic. So, first time actually in a while we've done a Geeks Not Nerds topic given to us by a viewer. We used to do that a lot, but then we had the letters pages where we would, and the Captain Logan show, doing so much Q&A that we tend to come up with these topics ourselves. We're going to try to give you guys the reins a little bit more with GNN topics, so we're going to do that for you. And this is actually a thing that Eric and I have weirdly been talking about kind of quite a bit lately, so it seemed like an appropriate time.
We had a big conversation
after
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. What was our Ant-Man and Wasp conversation, if you'll remind me?
Well, I had a whole thing that I realized while watching that movie. I was like, oh, it's texture. That's how you make a superhero costume look good in live action, is you just add texture. Like, Ant-Man and the Wasp, both their costumes can be comic book costumes, but instead of flat colors, we have it like rivets or like dots, like the Spider-Man costumes
kind of pattern.
Are like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spider-Man is basically where that starts.
Yeah. The Superman Returns Superman suit is like that. It's textured.
Yeah, I don't like it there.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be textured there.
No, that's fair.
But part of that is precedent. You know, part of that is we had a suit that we thought looked great already with Christopher Reeve, and it was straight off the page, not just in design, but also in material. Like, it looks like what you'd be... It's just spandex.
Man of Steel's also textured.
But
we just texture them. That's how we do it.
But I hesitate going as far as to saying that always works and that's all you have to do.
Well, no,
because I think much of the time that is the case, and you're right, like the Ant-Man and Wasp costumes, they're not like exactly right off the page, but they're super comic booky.
But if you put them on the page, they look...
And then they also look just fine, yeah.
I think the actual answer to the question, at least for me, is there's like a sliding scale based on stylization. So, like, the Dark Knight costume makes complete sense for the Dark Knight because it's a super grounded world. It makes sense that you build a tactical suit as opposed to something like, I'm going to BVS. BVS is really stylized. So you get a Batman costume that's just Frank Miller's Batman costume. It's all about the tone of the film
also looks
itself.
kind of tactical. It's not
it's a little bit
in the
more.
same way as something like, you know, Arkham City or whatever. But that one's really interesting, right? Because it is kind of right off the page, but it's also not spandexy.
That's true. But I don't. I don't think of Frank Miller's as spandex, even though it is. But also, he's the first guy that established like Kevlar underneath the costume.
That's the thing. That. To be fair, Frank Miller was also thinking tactics at the time, so it makes it of all the suits, that's probably the one that you would translate and still say it's about as realistic as a superhero costume is going to be. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then of course Captain America, we just made a like an actual soldier suit.
Yeah, and then we
the
just
colors
keep
and the design,
tweaking it because it's never looked perfect. Well, I think by Civil War we get it.
Well, the difference, and now we're just kind of running off with ourselves, but I think the deal there is it's different costumes for different things. Like, I like the helmet if you're at war, but I don't really want a helmet if you're just being a superhero. And the Civil War one is, I guess, the closest to like a straight up superhero costume. But then the one for Winter Soldier is a spy suit, and so that's darker colors, totally different thing.
Yeah, I think it's all about, a lot of it's about the tone of the piece
context
itself.
Too.
Yeah. Now, some things don't ever work. The Phantom's real silly.
Yeah.
That costume doesn't look good.
See, the thing is,
but maybe it was textured.
I think at that point, that's funny. I think the deal with something like the Phantom is you have to stylize the rest of the world to match. So it probably doesn't look as goofy if you do more of like a kind of Sin City treatment with it. I don't mean make it look like Sin City, but I just mean make the whole world heightened to match it.
Lighter, brighter colors.
Yeah, so like it should be more like a Dick Tracy or an '89 Batman.
Yeah.
You would never want that to look like the real world. And the problem with the movie they made in the '90s is it looks not just a period piece, and this is what they were going for. So like, I can't really complain about it, but you wouldn't want to take that costume and put it in a more updated Phantom movie that wasn't trying to be a serial, because that's what a serial looks like. I mean, they're not...
That's true.
On principle, they can't be like by definition, they can't really be that kind of stylized because they're on a budget. You know what I mean? And so, what you're seeing through the camera is what you get. Like they're not adding a lot of filters and things.
That's fair.
And so that's kind of what you would need. So like, the easiest go-to in saying it depends with this, as you did, is Batman, because there are, as I always say, a million different ways to do that character, and it can be more grounded or it can be more stylized. So if you're doing a super stylized Batman, don't give me the Begin suit, and absolutely never translate that to comic book, because it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I bet.
Doesn't look good at all. That's why the X-Men thing worked. Worked okay. Like originally.
They don't look great in hindsight. That's
at the time they won us over, though.
No, at the time they won us over, but like retro. But here's
and I'm
the thing.
talking about the first film.
Yes. But the thing is, they shouldn't have had costumes in the first place.
Yeah.
Like that universe didn't need those. It never made sense.
See, I wouldn't mind uniforms in the sense of just like we all wear kind of
like jackets.
Kind of I was going to say like we wear a coat that's like kind of inconspicuous but has like a little X on it, and like you can tell that we're all playing for the same team. You know, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But no, in retrospect, those costumes look bad, and they've never really fixed them. I mean, they look really bad in Apocalypse,
except for First Class.
Well, yes. Well, for those First Class costumes look good.
Those uniforms are great, and again,
but they're not riffing on that costume design.
No, and they're all the same, and they are a uniform, and they're kind of what I'm asking for. I mean, like they don't blend in or nothing, you know. I mean, like they are these bright yellow costumes, but they're also functional. Yep. And so, I guess what I'm saying is sometimes you can do both. Sometimes you can be kind of true to the material in that, at the very least, it's representative of it and reminds us of it, and it doesn't feel like exactly our world. You know, you wouldn't have a group that would actually go out in those, but if we lived in a world where the things in that movie are possible, maybe you would, you know. And so it feels like that.
Yeah.
So it feels like it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, at the time. But I mean, like, I guess personal preference-wise, would you rather it look silly? I mean, take like your favorite character. Take your favorite like more heightened comic book character and say, you know, like a Superman or like a X-Men character, or whatever it is. Would you rather it look faithful and silly, or would you rather us figure out how to make it, or would you rather make those sacrifices for it to look realistic?
It depends on the piece. Now, I will always want stylized over realistic. So,
This is your personal preference.
Yeah, my personal preference is I want the costumes to look super accurate, but I also want a world that fits those costumes. That's what I personally want. But
that still is case by case, right? Because Marvel, by definition, is not as stylized as DC stuff generally is.
No. Marvel's not. Marvel's kind of an in between. Marvel's a little stylized, but not like super stylized, and I think they've got costumes that are in between.
Yeah.
They look functional. They look like you could and would wear them, but they're very colorful and they're.
So are you saying that on the whole MCU is not less stylized than you want it to be?
I mean, I wish it was a little bit more stylized.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean...
Just curious about that, yeah.
No, I want everything to be more stylized. I want you to sit down and make a Captain America movie and go, how do we make this look like Jack Kirby?
Okay, but even Jack Kirby wasn't as stylized as, like, Justice League, right? Like...
Jack Kirby's really stylized.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, even his people are stylized.
I guess that's true.
No, if you tried to put Jack Kirby on screen... I mean... Like, I still don't think this movie's going to get made, and I really hope that director leaves before it does, if it does.
Not really Captain America. Obviously, a lot of Jack Kirby is super stylized.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an idiot. I know what Jack Kirby looks like.
But, like, I really hope that when we go to do the New Gods, it's the stylized DC thing, and we're not... Like, I want that to look... I want that to look like a Jack Kirby movie.
Yeah, but Aquaman looks pretty over the top.
It does.
So I mean, there's every possibility you get that.
It does, and I think his costume's green finally. I think we fit, or the green, and I think it's gold instead of orange. But I
don't think even Wonder Woman is horribly realistic.
The Wonder Woman's pretty stylized.
That does feel like a comic book representation of World War I before it feels like realistic.
The colors on her costume could be brighter.
I think for the movie they made sense that was a little bit more muted.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a costume
Except that the costume comes from the mascara and. It's all bright there.
Yeah, but I also
It makes sense for the tone of man's world.
But if you're asking for stylistic things, then you should also be okay with the tone of the thing changing what the suit looks like.
No, I am.
So that it's representative of whatever it is we're trying to do with it.
But the one in the 80s isn't going to be World War I, so like I would think that would be brighter, but it's not going to be brighter because we know she keeps that costume through BVS.
That's true.
I mean, we also know that she doesn't have a sword, so
but if they changed it,
all the rules
back,
are out the window.
I wouldn't care that much. You know what I mean?
They just keep establishing, because they established she doesn't have a sword anymore, but she has one at BVS.
It may not make sense that that's supposed to be the same suit, but it's different colors. Mm-hmm. But being consistent with BVS is like a real low, low bar thing for me. Like I don't need that. That movie didn't work.
I want to the Jack Kirby Captain America thing. I want the scales, right? I want the chainmail. Sure. I just want that. And maybe you can't make that look good unless you do it like Sin City. And I don't think every superhero movie should be done like Sin City. But for my personal preference, I want stylized and as accurate as possible. But I also get, like, if you're making a movie like The Dark Knight, I don't, like, that would be ridiculous. So, like, it's,
What do you think are technically, not necessarily your favorites, but what do you think technically are the smartest in trying to make a suit look believable on screen? What are, like, the top 3 of those?
Look believable as in, like, realistic, like someone could actually wear this.
Yeah.
I mean, Dark Knight. That Batman suit is probably about as realistic as that suit can look.
Mm-hmm. But there's no good reason they couldn't have had a little bit of color in it.
I mean, he fades in the darkness.
Yeah. But, I mean, when I say color, I just mean, like, maybe a couple of tones of black. Maybe not just straight jet black. And also, see, I think Begins over Dark Knight, except for the fact that the head doesn't turn, just because, do you need that much stuff going on the chest? Like, I've never liked that suit.
I assume that's like a realistic, like, Kevlar body design kind of a thing. Whereas...
Oh, it looks so totally arbitrary to me. It's a bunch of random lines. Like...
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
I assume that's a tactical decision of some kind. Whereas whereas Begins just
it looks like
change,
like for the sake of change to me.
I didn't think so. Especially because his arms are like that too. Like I don't think they're just making it busy to make it busy. I think there's a logical, like, breakdown for why each piece looks like that. That's the assumption I've always made.
Later we've had other armored Batman suits that are a little bit busier and they actually look functional, and I can tell why they did it. I could not tell why they did it with Dark Knight. The Arkham suit, I don't look at that and I go, oh my god, there's too many lines.
But I also don't believe the Arkham suit can exist in the real world. Like, it looks functional in the way that, like, the Ultimates costumes look functional.
Okay.
I don't think that costume can exist in the real world. Whereas, I think Dark Knight costume is as close as you can get to a functional
looks like it weighs 300 pounds.
Yeah. The Dark Knight costume looks like it could exist in the actual real world, especially of 2008.
On the other hand, I would argue if you can believe an Iron Man suit, you might have to believe that just because at some point the line gets really blurred between a suit and almost like a robot that you live in.
Yeah. So Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
For realistic, I'd buy Cap's costume in the first movie.
And I just mean realistic within the context of it. You know what I mean? Like,
I've never liked the suit for Cap in First Avenger, which is weird because I like it in stills.
Interesting.
But the way it moves, and it's probably because it's more practical. Like, it doesn't look comfortable. It doesn't look great.
Colors got better later.
That's true.
That's kind of my issue with that suit.
I also think Doctor Strange looks amazing.
Yeah. I'm with you.
In that, like, someone figured out how to make that look good. Like, you see that those kinds of costumes, like fantasy things, all the time, and they always just look like somebody like went to Goodwill and got some robes. Like, it looks like it's got some weight to it. Like, it looks like, I think that looks great for beyond superheroes. Just like that style of costume, like somebody figures something out with that.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out. I would probably still say the movie Wonder Woman suit.
Okay.
Personally, TV Daredevil.
Well, yes, of course. I wasn't even thinking television, but yes, TV Daredevil.
And the First Class suits. Like I said earlier, I think those probably deserve to be in that list too.
Yeah, those are great.
Well, any final thoughts?
No.
This is another depends question.
It depends.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's go ahead and go on to rants then. And Eric, do you have anything you want to complain about today, sir?
I'm gonna rant about something that I don't have like a name for, but like it's a group of things, kind
Okay.
of. I was trying to think of like a clever name. I could come up with a clever name. There's a bunch of things, and like, I can name specific things, but like I'm sure other people also have examples of this too, where no matter what it is, everyone else always knows better than you, even if those answers contradict. It's like that with alcohol, it's like that if you're getting like hotel rooms, like no matter what you do, someone else is like, oh, well, I got that cheaper, or oh no, don't buy that, don't. But those answers, like I know a lot of people that will say things like this, but their answers don't line up with other people that will say things like that.
As if there's a set standard.
Yeah, as if like, oh, you're dumb. Obviously, you should do it this way. Everyone knows that. But then someone else...
it's an objective
Yeah,
thing.
and then someone else is like, well, obviously, you should do it this way. It's a completely different way. No, I hate it.
That's
I hate
really
it so
interesting.
much.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I run into that all the time. And is that part of... Because we've talked about this a lot. Is that part of that, like, kind of faux expert thing? Where,
Maybe.
like, people think that they are, like, experts in a thing because they like it a lot, and so they can't see... And maybe they are, but I think sometimes... And I think we all fall victim to this to some degree. So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. But I think maybe part of the issue is if you think you really know a subject, you might start to blur the lines between opinion and fact to some degree.
Well, and I also think a lot of it just comes down to, like, sometimes personal taste, but also just your personal life experience. Alcohol is a big one.
Yeah.
Where, like, everyone knows what's good and bad drinks, but no one agrees. And no one seems to realize that no one else agrees.
That's because taste is completely subjective.
Yes, it is, but people don't act like that.
But this is true with comedy. This is true with rock and roll.
Yep. Yeah, well, we act like there's, you know, definitive...
Yeah, when somebody's like, obviously no one should listen to Hoobastank. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Hoobastank.
I mean, no one should listen to Hoobastank, but...
But it's also subjective.
I mean,
I brought up Evanescence before. I've had that with people. Or like Dave Matthews. I've had this before with people with Dave Matthews. I'm not a huge Dave Matthews Band fan. He had a solo album that I love and I will stand by till the end of time.
I know the one song from it, and it's wonderful.
And people will tell me, like, no, Dave Matthews is terrible. That's universal. Everyone Coldplay is like this now. Coldplay wasn't like this in '03. Why am I supposed to now hate Coldplay?
Yeah, I don't like Coldplay.
I don't mean to turn this into a musical conversation, but, yeah. But that doesn't make me wrong.
Well, no.
Like, that's not fair.
No. But yeah.
But you're right, alcohol is a big one.
Alcohol is a big one where, like, someone... Like, I used to have this where people be like, this is good, drink this, and I drink that, and I'd be drinking that somewhere else and be like, why are you drinking that? That's trash. No one drinks that. But I feel like it's a thing with a lot of things.
Also, if you know anything, because I don't, if you know anything about alcohol, I'm sure it's because like...
Well, and that's different.
Vince would probably have a bit of a different take on this if he was here, right? Because Vince really knows his beers.
Yeah.
But the thing, and that's like, Vince knows beers now like I know Star Trek, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's one of his big things now.
Yeah.
He should do a YouTube channel on beers.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between objective, like, quality of how the thing is made and what it's made out of versus do I think it tastes good? And if I like the taste of a $7 wine, which is technically probably really crappy, and it's like so on the bottom shelf that you have to go to the basement to get it, but that tastes better to me. Right, somebody sent me down there. There was an elevator. It was weird that they would pay for an elevator for the cheap stuff. I don't understand that. But anyway, this has gone off the rails. But if I like that better than the $27 wine, I might just not have a well-developed palate yet, or I might just have different taste buds than you.
Well, and also...
And I will say, that's never happened to me. I've never had a $7 wine that I like better than a $27 wine. But
these kinds of things tend to not be with the expensive things, right? Like, it's like there's a bunch of cheap beer, and everyone has decided which one they like and which one they hate.
Yep.
But like this, I feel like this is a thing with just everyone has to throw in their opinion as if it's fact.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is with a lot of things. It just drives me up the wall.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to demean people for things they like, especially that you don't, even if you can point to, and this is the same with movies. I mean, I talk about this all the time, where it's okay to like things that are bad. And I can say, and I can give you all the reasons that a story's not working well, or it's not believable, or it's inconsistent, or it's incoherent.
But
All of
if
those
you
things.
enjoy it.
But if you enjoy it, who am I to tell you not to watch it? That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Nobody should do that. I don't like that.
I like lots of bad movies.
And I think it's okay to like bad beers or to like bad music. You know what I mean? Like, if it tastes good to you or it sounds good to you.
Yeah.
And also, naturally, your palate might change. You know, like as you, I would encourage people to not stick to the one thing to venture out a little bit. But then, naturally, your palate will change. Usually, and I think what you probably stumble on is this. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think the deal is, it's people with well-rounded palates talking to the uninitiated. That's right. That's generally what it is. It's that you're a novice at this. You don't know yet. Okay, well, don't tell them that they're wrong. Just let them venture out and figure it out for themselves.
So you're assuming these people like have any expertise? Like I think it's just people drinking.
You think
like
so?
I think it's just people drinking.
Okay, but if you drink enough,
this goes for kinds of alcohol too.
Even if you're not thinking about it cerebrally, you're still intellectually. You're still going to develop a palate.
Yeah. But well, and
you can accidentally get refined, maybe I don't know.
And like this is the thing with travel plans. I feel like where people are like I feel like no matter what I do, someone will tell me they could have gotten a room cheaper, a flight cheaper. Like they always know better. Not there when you're making the plans. It drives me up a wall.
Well, it's not horrible if they're being helpful. Just next time use this website, it's better. Like.
But I never get that far. Like, it's always just like, oh, you paid that much? That's ridiculous. You thought that was a cheap hotel? I found hotels for $2. Where? Where are the $2 hotels? And I don't want to see
I don't want to see this hotel. Like, that's great. Congratulations. I'd rather sleep in my suitcase. I'm not going to do that. There are, as far as the beer thing goes, I'm stuck on this. There are, like, facts and more objective things you can say, regardless of what you like this. Like your regular domestic everywhere beers like Bud and stuff, watered down. You cannot argue with that. They are. You might like the taste of it. They're watered down. They are. That's how they're cheaper.
My favorite beer thing is that simultaneously, Pabst Blue Ribbon is the hipster drink of choice and the white trash drink of choice. Like, it is both the, like those people get those, but also, like, it's also the hipster drink. And I don't know how that happened.
Okay, so, a little bit later, I'm going to review a movie that Connor asked me to review called Blue Velvet. And in 1986, in that, this happens specifically with what you just brought up.
Really?
Yeah. So the main guy in that gets basically kidnapped by like a mob boss guy, and because he thinks he's been sleeping around with this girl that he kidnapped. It's a whole thing, but that he's decided he owns now, right? And it's this really tense, awful situation, and they go to Dean Stockwell's house, and Dean Stockwell is horrifying. And they go to Dean Stockwell's house, and he's like, "What kind of beer do you like?" And everything this guy... All I've been able to think about is this movie since you brought this up, because everything this guy says is wrong. Doesn't matter what it is. They make fun of him, whatever his answer is. They tell him he's wrong about everything. But what's your favorite beer? Heineken. And this is Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper just screams, "Pabst Blue Ribbon!" It's the best.
But yeah, that's a thing.
Good rant.
Yeah. Kind of vague. I wish I had like a overarching like.
Well, that's okay.
thing.
That'll be the theme for tonight because mine's also somewhat vague.
Okay.
My rant for this if you're finished.
Yeah.
My rant for this evening, Eric, is about references and how as we get further and further into whatever the culture is turning into right now, as it's in some ways I think degenerating, as in other ways it's evolving with social media and internet and things we're talking about all the time, but also with the fact that so many things we're not coming up with the fresh new versions of, we're just reinventing the same properties over and over again to money milk. I don't anymore, as I'm getting older, know sometimes what references I can make specifically in fiction that aren't too obscure. Or I think are obscure and aren't obscure. Both things can happen, you know? Like, you'll bring up a thing...
this is like my blue milk thing with Rogue One, right? Where I'm like, yeah, we all see the blue milk. You're like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, that's true, yeah. And this is actually related to your rant because it's all to yours because it's all about your own personal perceptions and history and what you've been through and what you understand about things, right? So a lot of this is about like who your intended audience is. So obviously, if a bunch of people that your story wasn't for in the first place, or whatever it is you're making, videos, whatever, don't understand it, maybe it's not a big deal because it's not for them. You know what I mean? They're not initiated, they're not there yet. It's not for them, but if it's for the audience that it is for, or if it's supposed to be for a general audience and people aren't getting it, obviously you're not getting across what you were intending. You know, if you're trying to communicate something with it as opposed to your reference is blink and you miss it, and the people who don't understand it aren't even going to notice it anyway. You know, that's one thing. But if you're trying to communicate something through it, and the gist of a major, you know, character thing or a plot point or something isn't understood because it was done by way of reference, that can obviously be really problematic and really hurt your piece. I say mostly in fiction. I've not run into this a lot in my own fiction yet, but it can happen in videos, it can happen when I'm talking to people, and I just think about things kind of through the lens of fiction. And I just remember when I was in writing school, somebody would turn in a short story that would have like a Green Lantern reference, and the professor would be like, it should be Batman or Superman, nobody knows Green Lantern. Now obviously, this day and age, that's different. Comic book stuff is kind of everywhere. But that extends into things like independent media and YouTube, and like when you're Plinkett and you've got like several million subscribers or whatever it is, can you make Plinkett references now? Like, or can you make AVGN references?
Yeah, AVGN. I don't know.
I
mean, my tendency
segmented crowds, I think.
I don't. I quote things a lot. Like I reference things a lot. And for the most part, I think it just happens. And if you get it, you get it. If not, like, we're already moving on. Like, I'm sure I've made jokes in omnibus videos that you didn't get, and maybe 90% of our audience didn't get. Like 10% was like, oh, he did a Kung Pao thing there.
And see, I actually have a lot of respect for you for doing that, because I mean, you know, if you're being self-indulgent in the back of your mind, you're saying, haha, people don't understand this, that's not fair, but that's not what you're doing.
No, I'm talking to the 10%.
You're talking to the 10%. Yeah. I'm not always courageous enough to do that. I get kind of mousy about it. Like I'll get what's the word I'm looking for? I'll get kind of like unsure of myself, and I'm like, tick references come to my head all the time, and I'm like, well, I don't want to look self-indulgent. Like, I'm constantly throwing out references to a thing that not a lot of people watch, you know? But there are, in Star Trek too, like, with both of those things, and there's other stuff, Team AG, you know, they might be giants, like, the three of those things, I could pull from one of those things for almost every situation. But the majority of people, I mean, Star Trek's bigger, but the majority of people aren't going to know those three things.
Well, but it depends on what the context is.
Okay.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong, especially if you're making a joke. Jokes don't have to be explained. If they didn't get it, they didn't get it. But, like, if we're having a conversation and you say, it's like this Star Trek character, well, if I don't know who that is, you have to explain it, because we're having a conversation.
Wait, what about just straight up quotes?
I don't think you have to explain yourself with quotes. I don't think you have to backtrack. Like, that's from one of the great Picard speeches, like, you know.
Yeah, but the reason I get kind of in my own head about it is because I don't want to look like I'm plagiarizing. Because I will say a quote and someone will think it's hilarious, and I'll be like, that's not mine. You know what I mean?
I think that's a little different. If somebody like really thinks something you said is funny, it's like that's not mine. That's you know.
Right, but I
say
also
a lot of Shane Black things.
But I also don't like that response when it's not mine. You know what I mean? Like,
then don't do it
when I don't know it. But that's why I don't. That's my point. But then I have to like stop myself, because the natural thing to do is to say those things. You know? So I don't always know what to do with references and quotes and things. But the bigger issue is less about my own uncertainty in conversation and more about just not knowing what counts as mainstream anymore.
I had an incident today, or yesterday.
There are way too many properties that everybody knows, and we keep talking about this with television, like, or that a lot of people know, but a lot of other people don't know, and so effectively it feels like no one knows them. You know what I mean? Like, you can be in in a big crowd of people where nobody knows Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad is huge. And how is that possible? You know what I mean?
I had an instant yesterday where a customer came in and asked for Spaceballs. I went and I grabbed it, I handed it to them, and I said, Spaceballs the DVD. Nothing!
Wow!
I was referencing the movie they asked for.
That's right.
I don't even know what the world is anymore.
Well, that one maybe they just weren't thinking. Maybe they just weren't thinking.
Maybe so.
Well, we're out of time. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think about translating costumes from comics to screen, and also tell us what you think about each of our rants. And those were strangely similar and connected rants, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
We'll see you again next time in 3 weeks for another Geeks Not Nerds. And if there is a topic that you'd like to see for Geeks Not Nerds, send us a personal message on Facebook, or send us a tweet, or leave a comment right here in this video. And we will see you again in, like I said, 3 weeks. And then if you want to continue watching the Omnibus, the next thing we're going to go to is the Comic Vault, and we're going to review Brian Michael Bendis' first volume of Daredevil. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you later, folks.